Hello, welcome to my channel. In this episode, I will be reviewing an African violet called Rob's Wascally Wabbit. That's such a cute name, wouldn't you agree? It was hybridized by Ralph Robinson and registered with the African Violet Society of America under the registration number 10983. It is one of the new Robinson's varieties, and I don't have the year of registration readily available, but I believe based on the number of the registration that it might have been in 2017 or 2018 the latest. But I think it was 2017 when it was registered. If you know the exact date of registration, please comment in the section under this video, and I would love to know the exact date. What you see in front of you is a young plant, and it has been blooming for at least 3 months now. I received it from Violet Barn 6 months ago in May 2019 in my very first African violet order. And here is what it looked like when I just received it. Rob's Wascally Wabbit is my very first micro miniature variety. It's listed as a micro miniature on the Violet Barn website, which is the website that is run by Ralph Robinson and his wife, and they are very famous hybridizers in the United States, and they are very well known all over the world. As a new grower of African violets, and I started growing them in February of 2019, I was intimidated by miniature varieties and especially with the micro miniatures. And so when I received this as a freebie in my first order from Violet Barn, I was a little scared at first. I didn't know how to care for it, how to plant, which pot size, and so on. But I took a risk, and I am so very happy that I did. And caring for this very first micro mini has taught me that I can actually grow miniature varieties and even a micro mini. And so since then I have added a few micro minis to my collection, and I will show them in my future videos. Rob's Wascally Wabbit has pointed dark green and beige to pink crown variegated foliage. It is very special, and you can see how small it is. When I just received it, it was almost like silver pink in the middle. But then I started adding some Epsom salts to my fertilizing routine, and so it greened up a little bit during the summer, and now it's almost all green with some beige variegation. Certainly we don't see any pink right now, but as the temperatures cool down in my growing environment, and we're in late November now, so I think the pink and silver variegation might come back in the center. However, it's in the desperate need for being repotted, because the last time I potted it was in June of this year, so it's we're talking 5 months ago, almost. Yeah, it was 8th of June, and it's late November, so it's almost 6 months. So early December definitely need to be. I will need to repot it. So I have been growing it in a 2-inch pot, and this is the smallest size pot that I was able to find at the time when I received it. I certainly was not prepared for a micro mini. So whatever I could find, and it was a 3-ounce solo cup that I had, and so I potted it, and first it was in its own original pot, but then a month later I repotted it into a 3-ounce plastic cup, and that's what I've been growing it ever since, and it's been doing rather well, even though it has outgrown the size of the micro minis, so I found out. Because when I looked at the definitions of the sizes of African violets on the Aptomara online glossary, I realized that a micro mini needs to have 2 inches or less diameter. And this crown, we are now talking about almost 4 inches across, well, 3.5 for sure. So I also learned that micro mini needs to be grown in a 1-inch pot. So this is definitely has outgrown because this is a 2-inch pot. So I believe the larger the size of the pot you use for growing a mini, the larger the crown will grow. Certainly this is the case with the Rob's Wascally Wabbit. So then I also found out that in addition to micro minis, which is the smallest out of all minis, there's also a super mini or a super miniature, and usually it grows 3 to 4 inches in diameter. And so this probably, in my particular case, rather than being a micro mini, it can be considered as a super miniature variety. So that's about the size of the rosette. Now let's look at the flowers. Those are the cutest blooms on a micro mini I've ever seen. They are described as round puffs of denim blue double blooms with hints of white. And I've lost count. I tried counting how many blooms it has. It's just such a prolific bloomer, and some of the blooms are actually stuck under the leaves over there. I don't know if you can see, but I'm so afraid to hurt it that I'm just normally I just straighten them out from under the leaves, but this one is so small that I just don't dare to get those blooms out. So I just let them be the way they are. Here they are. Here's some more over there. But I certainly will be removing all the blooms when I have to repot it, when I'll be repotting it early December, because then the plant will need to concentrate on growing the new foliage. I also believe that micro minis and miniature varieties, they need to be, what should I say, repotted, and they tend to form the longer necks as they grow older, and so I believe they grow older much faster than standard varieties. So 1 to 2 years tops, from what I understand. And please correct me in the comments. Feel free to share your experience of growing minis. How frequently do you have to do the long neck procedure, meaning decapitating the whole crown and then growing it anew? Because I would like to know that as well. But in the meantime, I'll just enjoy it for another couple of weeks. The blooms are certainly a sight to see. This tiny little plant is quite a looker. So it grows in my particular conditions under a combination of LED lights and also on the west-facing natural light window. I believe I do grow it on a wick. Certainly it doesn't look pretty right now, but and it has a different glass container with a fertilizing liquid, and I use a very weak dosage of equal proportion nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium fertilizer, just like on all of my other varieties. Nothing special there. So the humidity in my growing environment currently is 49 to 50%. Well, you can see 52 the highest and 49 the lowest. And to maintain humidity, I run a cool mist humidifier in the summer and warm mist humidifier in the winter. Right now the temperature is 68 degrees Fahrenheit, and I believe I will be keeping it at 65 the minimum, and in the summer I keep it at 79 maximum of degrees of Fahrenheit, of course. So I try to maintain as a comfortable growing environment for my African violets as possible. So I know the humidity poses a risk of powdery mildew. development in the growing conditions. So to prevent that and to protect my plants, I run fans that are fixed to my plant stands, and I run the fans 24/7. Especially in when it's too hot or too cold, I try to make sure that there is no stale air, and so the air needs to be constantly moving. So that's about all I wanted to talk today about this little plant. Did I show you the size of the blooms? I think I didn't. So they are smaller size. They're about half an inch in diameter. Obviously it's a micro mini, so they can be too large. Here they are in comparison to a dime coin. But there's so many of them. They're certainly not large, and it's a micro mini. But there's a whole cloud of these blooms, so it's really, really pretty. I highly recommend it to African violet growers of all experience groups, even to the newbies. I was intimidated, as I said, but now I'm so happy I have it in my collection, and it's definitely a keeper. So here is the this variety for you, Rob's Wascally Wabbit by Ralph Robinson. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope you like this cute little plant. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I will see you again in the next episode of my African Violet reviews.